Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Reverend Lawrence Adele Sifa with Cities of Hope Ministry here at All Points TV and Omni Orbis Church. I'm the minister for Omni Orbis Church, and we're a church without walls. Today, we're going to talk about here on 15 Minutes to a Greater Understanding natural aristocracy and how it relates to the Bible. See, natural aristocracy was a concept that was developed by the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. And Thomas Jefferson, no, he was the fourth president of the United States, and a spokesman for democracy, was an American founding father, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence of 1776, and the third president of the United States. There we go, 1801 to 1809. Thomas Jefferson was a very interesting man. He developed this natural aristocracy. And what is natural aristocracy? Well, the natural aristocracy is a concept developed by Thomas Jefferson in 1813, which described a hypothetical political elite, not like the ones we have today, which describes a hypothetical political elite that derives its power from talent and virtue. Talent and virtue. None of the politicians go from talent and virtue right now. And what he said was, um, according to Thomas Jefferson, members of the natural aristocracy possess virtue and talent, while members of the artificial aristocracy only possess wealth and birth. Think about that, wealth and birth. Here we have a country that was born out of the crucibles of hell, the United States of America, 13 colonies. And those 13 colonies wanted independence from one of the most powerful governments on the face of the earth at that time, England. And why did they want independence? Because that independence from a country that possessed wealth and birth as the artificial aristocracy and not natural aristocracy. It is a system. This is the modern aristocracy. It is a system in which only a small part of the population represents the government. You ever see that out there right now? Certain men distinguished from the rest, men and now women. Modern depictions of aristocracy tend to regard it as not as the ancient Greek concept of rule by the best, but more as an oligarchy or a plutocracy rule by the few of the wealthy. And they're out there right now. They want our children, they want what we have, and they want us to bow down to them. Sort of like Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible. He built this gold statue, and he wanted, when he heard the toll, to bow down to that statue. There were there was many that would not. Daniel was one of them. Daniel in the Bible would not bow down to that. He bowed to his God, and which is our God. Now, if we go to, um, let's go to natural aristocracy. What is a natural aristocracy? Well, it's a concept of talent and morality. We need to look out there for people with talent and morality that possess virtue in that. Um, who said natural aristocracy was Thomas Jefferson? The term natural aristocracy is credited to Thomas Jefferson and found in a letter he wrote to John Adams in 1813, another president. This might have been a way for both to promote their ideas in correspondence that was private but designed for public consumption, polished each other's historic significance. What is the meaning of aristocratic nature? Well, belonging to or favoring the aristocracy. Characteristics of an aristocrat have the manners, values, or qualities associated with the aristocratic, bearing aristocratic nobleness. Now, listen to that. Is aristocracy good or bad? Well, in ancient Greek and throughout most of history, aristocracy has had a positive contention and was seen as desirable. In most modern circles, however, aristocracy is associated with declarants and defunct economic models such as feudalism and accused of being unmeritocratic and in favor of nepotism. Are there any today that are natural aristocracies? Aristocracies still do exist. When taking into account today's existing ruling royal families and their lineage, both with Europe and outside, one of the most famous modern aristocrats is undoubtedly Hugh Grosvenor, who is the latest in the long line of Duke of Westminster, a dukedom created by Queen Elizabeth. What two examples of aristocracy? One, the Brahm caste in India, the Spartans in Sparta, the Creeds in Athens, the Partitions or Optimates in Rome, and the medieval nobility in Europe are various historical examples of the social aristocracy of nobility. Nobility based on what? Merit, virtue, talent? No, based on wealth and birth. Now, what country is run by aristocracy? Answer and explanation. Countries under an aristocracy are the United Kingdom, Spain, Denmark, India, and Nigeria. Under an aristocracy, the government is run by a small elite group known as the privileged class, who possess political, economic, and social power. This is very important to all of us today on this 29th day of October. Just a few days from now, there will be someone that will be called the leader of the free world. We are the last beacon of freedom for the world, the United States of America. Will sit in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, have private meetings with leaders of the world, and able to make decisions based on helping the people or helping themselves. Now, did Aristotle say about, what did they say about aristocracy? Aristocracy, in theory, is the next best construction after monarchy, because the ruling minority will be the best qualified to rule. This is Aristotle speaking. This is the teacher of Anthony the Great. Will be the best qualified to rule, but in practice, Aristotle preferred a kind of constitutional democracy, which is what we have here in the United States, for what he called polity, in a state in which rich and poor respect each other's rights and the best qualified. Rich and poor respecting each other's rights. Think about that. That's what is needed right now in the United States for the leader of the free world and the world. How did aristocracy fail? Well, the agricultural depression of the 1870 and 1890s made land less valuable as a store of wealth and source of income, either driving aristocrats to the wall or forcing them to diversely by selling land. Aristocratic power diminished because of the loss of control over the land and labor. Loss of control over the land and labor. What is the name of a female aristocrat? Well, definition of noble women, as in lady, a woman of high birth or social position, traditionally noble women, whether they are titled or not, have served as great patroness of the arts. Lady Continence. Does aristocratic mean rich? It's synonymous with wealth, but it should be with talent and morality. That is what Jefferson wrote. He wrote that to explain in 1813 someone that has talent, possesses virtue and talent. Now, there's what is called the Jefferson Bible. People think Jefferson was Christian. He was not. He was a deist. He believed in God, but he believed that God created us and then just left us to ourselves, left us to our own pursuits. You see, what we need to do right now is we need to pray to the creator of the universe. Pray and ask for what? Ask for understanding, and love, and understanding from him who is the creator of the world, creator of everything we see, and that is God the Father. You see, what we need to do is we need to learn how to look to morality rather than immorality. Look to talent rather than just an artificial person that is put up there in front of us. There's many of them that have done that. They're put up in front of us as to be leaders of different political groups. You want to know where in the Bible it talks about hierarchy in society? Well, the Bible acknowledges that social hierarchies exist, social hierarchies, but it also repeatedly calls for the protection of widows and orphans. Doesn't that sound Christian? Protection of widows and orphans. Does the Bible give us an economic system to follow? Yes. Furthermore, the Bible speaks about the value of fair and just trade. Just weight is his delight. Proverbs 11:1 states, "The Lord detests dishonest scales, but accurate weights find favor with him." This verse teaches us the importance of fair and honest trade, which is a fundamental principle in the free market economics. What does the Bible say about oppressive governments? Well, we've got oppressive governments that are trying to take control of our country here, United States. And those of you who are listening outside of our United States, we are the policemen of the world. We try to help those that are being oppressed. That is what we fought 2 world wars for. That is what we fought, a civil war here on the North American continent, that if the casualties were more bloody and numerous than all of the world wars combined. For there is no authority except from God. Repeat that. What does the Bible say about oppressive governments? For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad conduct. That is what is happening right now in our world. Was the Bible based on monarchy? Well, listen to this. The Christian notion of a divine right of kings is traced to a story found in Samuel, 1 Samuel, where the prophet Samuel anoints Saul and then David as Messiah, anointed ones, king over Israel, king over governments. What did Jesus say about capitalism? That's where we are. The scriptures are full of ideas, the ideas of work and merit, a key point of capitalism. Jesus said, the laborer is deserving of his wages. And that was in Luke 18. Paul wrote in 2 Thessalonians and 3:10, if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. That's a just situation. So, what is God's view on government? As the last point, one, God established government. From a Bible perspective, the authority of human government is not absolute, but rather divinely derived. The Apostle Paul writes, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. And God has established that for all of us. And I'm Reverend Lawrence Adele Sifa, the Cities of Hope Ministry here at All Points TV and Omni Orbis Church, telling you, vote your conscience, vote morality, vote for someone not that has changed their mind all of a sudden, but for someone that has lived by what they believe. And you will have an imprint in this election, this very important election here in the United States of America on November 5th, 2024, that will determine freedom in the world. Thank you very much for listening. And next week on November the 5th, here at 15 Minutes of Greater Understanding, we're going to talk, what does the Bible say about grieving? And that's in Matthew 5:4. You all be blessed and understand to vote your conscience and morality. Thank you.